Hi, everyone, and welcome to Wholesale Change. It's the webcast and podcast from Distribution Strategy Group, where we offer thought leadership for wholesale change agents like you. Because if you're on this show, you're probably a wholesale change agent. My name's Ian Heller with Distribution Strategy Group. I'll be hosting this alone today. So if you're here for the lovely Jonathan Bine, you're stuck with me. But I suggest you remain anyway because we've got two fascinating guests here, Luca from ABB, Ignacio from Signify, and they're going to talk about how distributors can become more important to manufacturers, as in gain more market share, right? So there's a lot of information here about collaboration and what distributors can do to work more closely with manufacturers and take advantage of resources manufacturers offer. But before we get started, I need to do just a little bit of business. So first, I want to tell you about Customer Experience RX. If you use Net Promoter Score, or even if you don't, Customer Experience RX, developed exclusively by Distribution Strategy Group by my business partner, Jonathan, is a phenomenal way to understand customer input. And it gives you this really important look at not only how you're performing in different areas, that's the satisfaction, but how important each of those areas is to customers. So whether it's technical expertise, logistics and delivery, competitive pricing, you'll know exactly what's important to your customers. You'll know how you're performing along each of these dimensions and what you should do about it. This dashboard is really rich. It's got all these pull downs. You get access to it yourself so that you can understand, cut, parse, interpret your own data. It's a phenomenal system. Never seen anything like it. And I can say that because I didn't develop it. Jonathan did. And so I really encourage you to reach out to Jonathan at jbine@distributionstrategy.com. If you're interested in getting, for the first time, a really deep MRI into your customers' opinions of your performance in a way that is highly actionable. Second, I'm delighted to announce that we're doing it again. Applied AI for Distributors is happening June 4th through 6th in Chicago at the Marriott Chicago O'Hare. We have a whole bunch of technology companies coming back with updated presentations. We'll have some new companies there. Our general session lineup is going to be a combination of people from last year who are updating everything that they've talked about previously. For example, Zach Cass, who used to be the head of go-to-market for OpenAI, the ChatGPT people. He's coming back to update us on everything that's changed in the world of generative AI and the future of AI. He's really a visionary about where this is all going. And then we have some new speakers too. We're going to go in depth on cybersecurity in the age of AI, for example. And we'll have a bunch of attendees. The networking is powerful. We just announced yesterday. We've already had a bunch of people sign up. Pretty good chance this is going to sell out. So if you want to participate in this conference, I suggest you sign up pretty early. We also have a VIP package for January that gives you a whole bunch of extra benefits. So if you go to appliedai4distributors.com, that's appliedai4distributors.com, you will see the website, which we are constantly updating, but you can register there. All right, that's it for the commercials. Let's get to the stars of the show. I'm going to start with Luca. Luca is with ABB, one of the world's largest electrical manufacturers, and is one of the sponsors of the research that we did. Luca, thank you for your support in that research. And why don't you take a few minutes and tell us a little bit about your background, what you do at ABB, and also what ABB does.
Okay, Ian, hello. Thanks for inviting me. And as you just said, I'm in charge inside ABB of the global e-commerce distribution channel, let's say management. And I'm leading the program, which is called Distributor Online Acceleration Program. We call it DOA program. And so my background is coming from engineering. When I graduated from engineering in Politecnico di Milano in Italy, I started to work in ABB actually in the back old before it was 2000s, and then I went out and I had some let's say distribution experiences. Not in the electrical world, it was in the semiconductor, but thanks to this, I started to have the first touch points on the e-commerce approaches back in the 2000s because the company I worked for was one of the leader of the ICT industry and is still one of the leaders in the ICT industry in Europe. And at that time, they were already having, let's say, e-commerce B2B experiences. And so we transferred that kind of experience from let's say, the mother company into our semiconductor distribution business distributor. And so this is where already more than 20 years ago, I had my first touch points on e-commerce. And so this is why then I ended up in leading this program inside the ABB for the electrification. Why do I say electrification? Because ABB, for those who don't know us in detail and how we're structured, we are a global company, multinational company, representing, we're having 4 business areas mainly. The one in which I am is electrification. Then there's, which is, has different divisions inside it regarding smart power products, smart building, installation products. And then we have the other 3 parallel business areas. One is motion, which is related to drives and motors. And then we have, let's say, industrial automation, so the process automation, which is covering more the, let's say, industry. And so the big final customers like oil and gas or, let's say, marine and ports and so on. And then we have the last but not least, which is the robotics and discrete automation. Among these 4 business areas, I'm hosted inside the electrification one, for which more than 50% of business is done through, let's say, distributors. And so at the end of the day, this is why we're here, and this is where we had the cooperation, because we thought that this messaging that we built together was really important for us as a company, but also especially for our customers. So that's why we're here.
Wow, that's fantastic. And how big is ABB?
Well, we have more than 100,000 employees, let's say, present in basically all around the world, with a business which is more or less on average among the 3 areas, so Europe's, Americas, and Asia's. And let's say we offer product systems, not only products, but also systems and services, and in several end markets. Okay, so renewables, say, distribution, oil and gas, mining, automotive, food and beverage. So we're basically covering all the needs in terms of electrification and all the other, let's say, topics that I mentioned, like, motors and drives, serving the industry. And our, let's say, electrification is representing more or less 50% of the business of the overall group. And
Fantastic.
we are based, the headquarters is in Zurich, and I'm personally based in Milan, Italy, but I have a global role, so covering, let's say, basically all the needs that we have in the various regions.
Wonderful. Great. Really appreciate that overview. Okay, Ignacio, my friend, your turn to tell us a little bit about what you do and also about Signify.
Thank you, Ian, and thanks for letting me be in this fantastic show. So a little bit about myself. My name is Ignacio Bruyel, born and raised in Spain, where I'm right now in Madrid offices. And I work for Signify in the global brand and marketing team. And my role in this team is to work closely with distributors, with international distributors, to support the sales of our products, but also the awareness and how much our customers know about our products and systems and solutions. For this purpose, we have the digital partner program, which is different marketing resources and services we offer to our customers, to our distributors. And and before that, I have worked in many countries: Belgium, France, even did some volunteering work in the US many years ago. So and my education is in marketing in a SIG business school here in Madrid. About Signify, there's one thing I think I always like to share to tell to when I have this kind of meetings is Signify is the new name for Philips Lighting. We are a 125 years old company, or a year old startup, as I like to say. And and we're still innovative and changing. And 2018, we became an independent company under the name of Signify, where we commercialized different brands in lighting. Like Philips is the most well-known, of course, but they also have Interact or Color Kinetics or Philips Hue, like almost up to 40 different brands. That's why marketing is so important in our organization.
Fantastic. And how big is Signify, if you can disclose it?
Yeah, we have around 37,000
Wow.
employees across the globe. Our headquarters are still in Eindhoven in Netherlands.
Yeah.
And in Amsterdam, but we have locations, different headquarters in around the globe. Madrid is one of them, and different parts of Asia and America, of course, too. Yeah.
Okay, so we've got two global leaders. One's a global digital leader, one's a global marketing leader, but you both have digital and marketing responsibilities, which means you see distributors from around the world. And that means you've seen the very best to the very worst in every type of marketing and digital execution that distributors do, because you have so much more exposure than most distributors do who only know their own environments. So if you are on this call, we have a lot of people on this call live. This is your opportunity to ask questions to two global experts from the manufacturer's point of view on how distributors can do a better job of marketing and digital by incorporating the capabilities that manufacturers bring to the party. And that doesn't mean you do it poorly. You as an individual distributor may do it very well, but nobody does everything well, right? So let's have a really fun dialogue. Let's get some questions from listeners. But the first thing I'd like to do is get the sense from each of you. What do you see as geographic differences, right? So, I mean, I've done a little speaking in Europe and I spoke in North America. I see some pretty distinct differences between the marketing and digital capabilities of distributors. And I'm sure I've heard that in Australia and New Zealand, they're pretty advanced. North America overall is a little more advanced, and then Europe is a little bit farther behind. But how do you see these? Are there geographic trends in terms of marketing and digital capabilities? Ignacio, we'll start with you.
All right. Yeah, my experience and my background is mostly with European distributors.
Yeah.
But I still have contact with South American and US distributors, and also Canada. For me, the biggest difference is the way US distributors see marketing in a strategic way. Where in Europe, for example, marketing is mostly tactical or short-term, or based on promotional maybe. Where what I can see in the US or North America is that the distributors take marketing seriously, and they have the right capabilities in terms of people, resources, and maybe long-term approach. So that's why I always like to interact or know or work with North American distributors, because they take marketing seriously, and it's always nice for a marketeer like me. But having said that, I have seen a tremendous transformation in the last years in Europe as well. Maybe due to the influence of US, or maybe because of marketplaces coming to Europe to take part of the business of traditional distributors. And I can see that distributors in Europe are changing faster in the last 2 years, because they can see that there are threats for marketplaces, and they're taking seriously not only content but also promotion, and also always on advertising, and going from an offline marketing to an online advertising. And I can see that they are coming to us and say, hey, what can we do together? How can we improve together? And these are the right type of questions to improve in market. So to your question, Ian, I see geographically North America more advanced in marketing than in Europe, but Europe is growing faster. And some other geographies is still a very old school marketing in other parts of the world.
Yeah, so it's more about promotions than it is, growing the customer base, and
which is still necessary. Don't take me wrong. It's just that marketing can do so much more when you take it holistically and the long term.
Okay, so Luca, Ignacio is seeing more of a tactical approach in Europe, a more strategic approach in the United States. Europe seems to be closing the gap. I'm sure there are exceptions where there's somebody who's very advanced strategically in the UK and someone who's very tactical in the US. So these are just sort of generalizations. What do you see as geographic differences around the world in the way that distributors approach and manage marketing?
Well, let's say that we do see some differences, but not so dramatic. Okay. I would rather put it more on a typology of distributor. So this means that, okay, we got the big groups, we got the consortia, we have the smaller ones, so the independent ones. In this case, I can say that we can see some real interesting cases on both sides. Obviously, the bigger ones have, let's say, more maybe resources and capabilities, and moving a little bit faster, but also the smaller ones are definitely really changing gear. I mean, in certain parts of areas of the world where you were talking about these discussions, having these kind of discussions 2-3 years ago, they were far behind. Now they're really moving up fast, at least trying to understand which is the next steps. Sure, the US, maybe it's more, let's say, they're used to that for more than, let's say, more years than in other parts of the world, like in Europe. But I can say that we've seen really interesting cases also outside of US, like loyalty programs, or let's say real interesting trade marketing initiatives, and also the online loyalty programs. Okay, so this is something that we see that is a participation there. Or also in South America, we've seen some partners who really developed interesting platforms that were leveraging on the digital marketing capability that they had. And so this was surprising because it was in smaller countries where we never, let's say, thought about. And so this really impressed me. So yes, surely US could be the leaders, but also in Europe, which is the market that we know most, despite the fact that I have a global role, but mainly the bigger, let's say, distributors that we work with are based in Europe, and this is where maybe we know a little bit better the geography. But surely we have also interesting examples outside of the US, I would say.
Okay,
and
we already
also
have
among Europe, there are differences among Europe as well. Right? So it's
sure.
Yeah.
I spoke to electrical distributors in the UK about a little over a year ago, and I looked at the websites of all the distributors in the audience, and there were some that were very sophisticated, and there was one that had wholesaler spelled wrong in big letters on their, so it was really a bell curve. Okay, so we have a couple of audience questions. One of them is, in your experience, are marketing co-op programs effective in connecting a unified marketing effort between distributors and manufacturers?
In my experience, marketing co-op experiences are the best.
Okay.
Because we don't do direct business on B2B, on professional business. So that's why we need our partners, our customers, our distributors to do together marketing. So we can do marketing to increase the awareness of our products and systems and generate demand that go to distributors. But it's more effective if we do marketing together in a cooperative way, where we disclose the goals, the KPIs, and the resources, and we go hand in hand. So that's, for me, it's the only way we can do marketing in this type of business, growing hand in hand with the distributors. So to make that happen, we also need that the distributors have the right marketing resources we were talking about, and resources and attitude and capability, of course.
Very good.
I agree.
Luca?
I agree too. Definitely, the cooperation there is absolutely fundamental. So defining common goals, so setting common targets, and so either on one side investing on the distributors, let's say, capabilities, and this is where we encourage them to have, let's say, growing in this kind of approach. But at the same time, even if ABB might invest on own marketing initiatives, they are all aimed at driving opportunities, leads, or traffic towards the distributor, because this is where we jointly cooperate and jointly, let's say, work. So also setting down common at the beginning of the year, or certain moments of the year, key moments of the year, milestones of common programs or common initiatives. That's always the best thing to do, to approach. The cooperation, and as we said, also not forgetting the basics in terms of really cooperation. This is where we strongly believe.
But this type of coop marketing means that the distributor needs to activate the marketing activities. So it's a sponsor, or it's developed by manufacturers, but at the end, the activation relies on their side. And sometimes for us, manufacturers, is a kind of a frustrated, a little bit of frustration, because we do everything and we handle everything, and then, hey, now it's up to you to activate. And in our side, Signify, we have also consumer business where we activate the campaigns and the marketing. So we are the activators. But in professional business, most of the time we need our partners to activate this type of marketing campaigns. So it's sometimes it's nice. It's a longer process, but it's the only way to do marketing together.
Yes, I agree, Ignacio. And also the fact of sharing opportunities, sharing information of the outcome of the campaigns, in my belief, is something that is fundamental, because it's with the results of the initiative that we do together that we understand if we're going the right direction in terms of strategic planning and execution, and then overall as an approach. So I believe that also this information gathering from the distributors toward the manufacturer and vice versa is fundamental, because we need to go hand in hand. Because at the end, this is how we see distribution business from our side. I mean, distributors are a long extension, long arm of the manufacturer. I mean, we're not able to reach the end market as they are capable of doing. And so this is why we work together, and it's a cooperation at the end, which is not only for the traditional marketing or for traditional sales, but also for the digital marketing as well.
Excellent. Well, okay, good. Boy, we have 4 questions. I'm going to try to get to them all if I can. Hello, contacting from Uruguay. Thanks for sharing your knowledge. Working in the industrial segment, how effective are AI-based marketing tools? Is it feasible to use them to target specific segments? So I don't know if you guys have any expertise in that. We didn't discuss it before the call. It may be too early in the life cycle of AI, but are you seeing any distributors use AI marketing tools yet?
I've seen virtual reality tools
Okay.
for educational purposes, and this is something we're also testing. But it's virtual reality in the metaverse, where we see a lot of potential for education, but not artificial intelligence yet.
Okay. Same for me. We have not seen anything yet in particular. We have some discussion going regarding content, so data and content, so how that AI can work in that direction. But it's not related specifically to marketing tools as such. I mean, it depends on what we mean. If we think, and which I believe data and content is a strong enabler for marketing initiatives and campaigns, because we cannot forget that before running we need to walk, and before walking we need to crawl. And so I think that sometimes it's better to stop a little bit and work on the data and content, enhancing that content, going towards optimization of information, and then moving towards marketing. And so I'm not sure. I don't have any experience yet of judging if this AI topics are a hype at the moment on in certain areas like marketing, or more a real concrete things. In my opinion, it's too early to say.
Yeah. Okay. That's fair. I agree. I have some strong opinions because I've been a VP of marketing at 4 big distributors. I see a lot of applications, but I think right now it can be a distraction more than an assist if you're not careful. Okay. So go ahead. Go ahead.
If you allow me, Ian, because I remember that some days ago, a distributor shared with me that they were testing AI to make a specific content for product content. So you know that one of the issues with SEO is that all of us will share the same product description for some products, meaning it has a negative impact on SEO. So this specific distributor disclosed, or they were testing or considering to use AI to make a specific content for themselves, to make it different to the rest of the distributors or even manufacturers, which I think it might be a solution, even not only for doing content, but also for translation.
Yeah.
If I can maybe add something to that, we are now having an experience exactly in this direction of making a let's say traditional contact factory approach on a local basis in a traditional manner. It will be interesting to see how AI could bring additional benefit or integrate that. So to see how we can maybe optimize the process, optimize the costs, but not necessarily could be to doing it by itself. So putting the 2 things together will be interesting, in my opinion.
Yeah.
As a manufacturer and with the distributor.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, when you talk about like working with your manufacturers, one thing I've learned is there's no substitute for getting together and planning together. So, I mean, you can't do it with all of your suppliers, but you're both often one of a distributor's largest suppliers. And so if they call you in October and say, look, we're putting together our marketing plans for the following year, we want to know what your goals are and what your plans and capabilities are so that we can build them into our plans. That's a much more reliable way of ensuring alignment between the manufacturer and the distributor than anything else. And you know, in my last job, it was in the construction supplies world, and we used to sit down with Bosch every year and talk about what their plans were in the construction world, and that just made for better alignment than with some of our other suppliers because we knew what they were doing and what their objectives were, and we could work together on it. So
Exactly.
we have a bunch of questions. So how do you balance the traditional distribution channels with the digital channels? And I think everybody knows those channels are out there. You know, I had a view when I was a VP of marketing for traditional distributors. I knew that my manufacturers were going to sell through digital channels. I just wanted the rules of the road to be clear, so I knew, you know, what I was going to get and how I could differentiate my value proposition from the digital players. How do you think about balancing these channels that can sometimes be in conflict?
Luca, you go ahead.
Should I? Okay, go ahead. You start first this time. I think that here it's a matter of being capable of leveraging on the capabilities and characteristics of a traditional distribution channel, and with as a manufacturer uh, working together to, let's say, on one side provide our, let's say, tools, our capabilities, and let them grow together with us. Okay, and leveraging on their core capabilities and core elements to differentiate with the, let's say, digital channels, because there are some things that digital channels, despite the efficiency that they can put in place, especially for the logistics, I mean, this is something that nobody can deny, but some investments they will never do because by definition and by nature, it's not part of their goal and mission business-wise to have instead the investments that by definition the traditional distribution channel does, such as capability of reaching, as I said before, so Salesforce on the market, and let's say added value information that they can provide, such as using enhanced content or let's say configurators that can help to train their customers. And so I think it's this let's say leveraging on their traditional characteristics, not forgetting to not forget, let's say, abandon the basics, as we said, but
Yeah.
at the same time growing and adding on top these new digital capabilities.
Yeah.
So this is would be my first say statement.
Yeah, and I always like to say or remember that internet is disintermediation. Like internet is breaking the traditional channel, right? And the end user can go directly to manufacturers and interact
Yeah.
with us directly. All right. Having said that, we still need our partners. We still our distributors to bring value to the market.
Yeah.
And they play a fantastic role and a very important role in terms of warehousing, finance, services, capillarity to reach as many users as possible. So we know that we potentially could go direct, but it's not in our intention. We still rely on the channel, and we need them. We need them strong. We need them to compete with this new marketplace, new online pure players, which are
Yeah.
now new in the market, and this is our the approach of Signify. It's also the professional products are not something easily to be sold by directly.
Yeah.
We don't have the structure, the knowledge that distributors
But also
have.
our manufacturing capabilities are not structured to have a end reach on the end customer. And so this is why we rely on the characteristics and capabilities of our distributors.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's funny. I think a lot of times the digital channels are serving a different customer. And a good example of that is Granger. So, you know, Granger launched Zora, which is a pure marketplace several years ago. Zoro's now hit $1 billion. But Grainger, who owns Zorro, says there's no channel conflict because the buyers who are on Zorro weren't buying from Grainger to begin with. There are these smaller customers. They're farther away from Grainger branches. They don't have sales relationships with them. And I think that's often true with these pure digital channels. Is not that there's no overlap in the market. There is some, but for the most part, they're different customer groups.
Exactly. Another story is about generating demand in digital channels. We, as manufacturers, we have a strong brand, we have a strong online visibility, and we can generate leads that we can transfer to our partners in the distribution channel. That's something we do, and that's something that we normally do because we are able to generate this kind of demand. And
Right.
but we don't fulfill, we handle to our partners.
Sure. So one listener is asking, managing content for thousands of products can be challenging for distributors, especially in like niche verticals. How do you help, or what resources do you offer to allow distributors to manage product data, more easily? And then that's their question. I will add, to what degree are distributors taking you up on the services you have today? That, because my impression is, that, yeah, manufacturers could do a better job with product data, but a lot of distributors aren't using the product data that's available. So,
Yeah.
What do you see? Yeah.
That's exactly the case. Like we could do better our job in terms of product data accuracy and completeness, but also the way we send the product data to our distributors. There's a lot of room for improvement. At Signify, we promote the usage of BM cut files, which is a European standard mostly. But we need to improve. We need to integrate ERP systems with our product database systems and make a seamless connection from both databases. And that's the future of content syndication. Because when I have conversation with our distributors, the biggest issue and the basis is product data and the way they get data from us. And we need to improve. We need to send better content, more complete and accurate without mistakes. Not done yet. We're not done yet, to be honest. And send it in a way, or syndicate it in a way with our distributors, which doesn't cause so many problems to them. And I know it's not, the solution is not on our side, on their side, it's on both sides. We need to collaborate better. We need a lot of data strategies. We need a lot of resources in that direction.
I totally agree, Ignacio. We're experiencing the same experiences, same things. We also, let's say, support the ABB and Signify, which is not only now European, it's also exported in other parts of the world. But at the same time, being flexible in delivering content in data in the way that they say maybe some minor distributors are not able to consume. And this is also why we support the collaboration with the, let's say, aggregators. So every maybe country or region have some specific concentrators of dispatching and syndication tools. Like in the US, we have DDS, for example.
Sure.
Which is one of the most, let's say, used by the online distributors. And so cooperating with these guys is fundamental so that we can, provide what they're used to use to get data from. But at the same time, some set of information still need to be sent directly to the distributor because there may be sale data or, let's say, more local information. So also another element of complexity is what are the global products versus the local products and how these are dispatched, because not all, even the big distributors have, even if they're global, have one entry point. And so I think that one of the biggest challenges, undoubtedly, as a manufacturer, we need to improve the data because providing the right, information is fundamental. But before going into enhanced data, so like evolved, let's say, complex, let's say, videos or 3D images and so on.
Right.
Also starting from the data, from the basic data is fundamental, and also understanding how the distributors are able to consume information that we share, because we find out sometimes that we provide information to the aggregators at a certain level of quality that we think, and then when you start going into details with the distributors, you find out that they're missing some basic stuff, such as the distributor's website is not able to consume that attribute. And so why do we need to work so strongly and push ourselves so hard in providing data or content that then the distributor is not able to consume?
Right.
And at a certain point, or maybe it takes several weeks for them to consume because their system not able to grab them. So
yeah, and they're often underinvesting in e-commerce, right? Because they're measuring it wrong. And
yeah,
so, there's this white paper's coming out. So for people who are on the webinar, you can see a little bit, this white paper is coming out next week, which is, 20 plus pages of how distributors can leverage marketing services and digital excellence to become more important to manufacturers. And one of the things we cover is that a lot of distributors, they measure their website effectiveness based on the shopping cart. And in B2B, there are an awful lot of customers, probably most customers who, at least in the electrical category, who they may shop on the website, but they're not likely to check out on the website. I mean, they're going to send in a PO because that's how they purchase and they need to get an approval from their boss. So they have to route it through them, or maybe they'll call it in to try to get a better price. But what we've seen is, and we've done some research on this, and it's based on like 1,800 responses. Only one time in 6 will a customer check out on the shopping cart for an order that they put together online. 5 times out of 6, if it goes to an order, they're going to call it in or they're going to send it in by email, which is the most common. And so what happens is these distributors think that their websites are producing much less return on investment than they really are. So they're not enhancing them in a way that lets them bring in that product data. And they're not subscribing to these services where you're syndicating your data. And they're not investing in search and images and spending time upgrading their websites because they think their websites are losing them money when in fact their websites are actually making them a lot of money. They're just measuring it incorrectly. Are you seeing that in your distributors where they just assume, since the shopping cart volume is low, that the website's not having a big impact on sales?
Yeah, and I like how you have summarized that, Ian, because that's exactly the problem. This simplification that B2C e-commerce is the same than B2B e-commerce.
Right.
It doesn't apply. On B2B, the journey is different. It's a professional buyer with different price conditions, with different needs, and sometimes negotiation. So maybe he's taking information on the e-commerce platform, but maybe the purchase is done sometime later, after an email or through the procurement platform, for example, in SAP Ariba, things like that. So yeah, many distributors, I think that they're measuring wrongly the performance of their local e-commerce. And they are not taking the advantage of the possibilities that they can to integrate their e-commerce into procurement platforms. And this is the biggest opportunity, how you integrate your professional e-commerce into professional purchase platforms to gain visibility, but also to get pulled out possibilities. Yeah, and for example, we like to measure like digital sales based on web purchases, app, but mostly system to system purchases, ERP to ERP. This is where the B2B growth is and the opportunities are, which are not in the B2C e-commerce. I hate it when people simplify B2C e-commerce is the same as B2B. No, it's not the same. I wish it were the same. It's much more complex.
Right.
Yeah. So that's the situation.
Yeah, we see the same. Yeah, we see the same thing, especially because the B2B buyer journey is much longer, much more complex than the B2C one, and so we get longer and the touch points. And if you think about the complexity that a buyer has inside his own organization, they have to get in touch with the engineering department, the purchase department. They might have also budget limitations, restrictions. All these elements are complicated the journey. Therefore, measuring, as we said, the web shop development only on sales is incorrect, because we're losing the biggest part of the opportunity, which is what we say: research online and purchase offline. So how can you know? And this is also a limiting factor of the investments on digital marketing. I believe that measuring digital marketing investments only on the sales results, this is not the right way to invest and measure that kind of initiative, because we never know how long it will take, the journey. We're not buying a sneaker here. We're not buying a t-shirt. Where, yesterday I was interesting. I received a from McDonald's app and advertise, hey, between January 15th and 18th, you're going to be, if you go there, you have a discount. Well, I went there. Okay.
Yeah.
Because it's a B2C consumer kind of approach. But when we talk about B2B, it's much more complex. And the timeline of the investment is much longer. So this is why digital marketing returns should not be measured only in 2 months or 3 months. It's an overall approach and the relationship that the manufacturer needs to have with the distributor. And I believe that this goes back to the importance for a distributor to have and embrace a digital sales transformation journey.
Right.
We've seen many cases of distributors, typically the smaller ones, but independent, but not necessarily, that invested money in creating websites with web shop capabilities. And then they said, okay, it's not successful, and okay, I close it. Because digital sales is not creating a website. I mean, you can spend $2,000 to create a website with e-commerce capabilities, but then you need to have all the elements inside the organization that goes into that direction.
Yeah.
To allow that transformation from a sales perspective.
We did an analysis for an electrical distributor, and they had less than 1% of their sales coming through their website. But they offered a lot of information online, so you could check your accounts and make payments and expedite orders and look up technical information, et cetera. And the correlation between annual purchase volume and web usage by the customer was 0.991. The more the customer was on their website, the more they bought, but almost none of it was coming through the website. But the website was so valuable. This is to your point, Luca. The website offered so much value to the customer that if the more they used it, the more they bought from the distributor overall, but it wasn't going to the website. So, to your point, it's the wrong measurement. It's the wrong measurement because that's not how business buyers buy. And it's the wrong measurement because very often the main value of a distributor's website isn't the purchasing. It's all of the customer service and information and managing of quotes and everything else that business customers do online that consumer customers do not.
Yeah, that's right. I agree.
Do you think that manufacturers could do more product marketing with video? I know I see an increasing number of videos on consumer websites. Do you produce videos about your products, and is that going into like the DDS data set or other data sets? And is it getting used by customers? Do you have a feel on that?
Well, we are increasing our internal capabilities of creating videos, starting from 3D images or creation of 3D images. And these are requested more and more by the biggest distributors. We also have, from their feedbacks, a positive correlation between those product deal pages which have videos are, selling more and faster than the ones that don't have. So we're investing in that direction. It's not an easy task for a manufacturer like ABB, where a pure hardcore engineering company to transform itself, it will take time. But we're investing in that direction. We do have some how-to videos, so how to install, how to train, and so on. And so the point is to try to find a good balance between a pure ad video, 45, 50 seconds versus a 5-6 minutes of a how-to, which is
right.
We have plenty of them on YouTube. So we are investing that. Okay, it's not the top priority, but surely we are going to that direction.
Same for us. We are being requested by distributors to send videos, not only about the product, but the application and how to install those products, educational videos, which is a challenge for us. It is a challenge in terms of capacity, budget, resources, and that. But we understand that good visual content helps the online conversion of our products in the distributors platforms. But we're going to that direction. We are also considering to use different technologies and platforms to do visuals in a much efficient way. But that's the future. Huh? We're moving from from copy to audiovisual content.
Got it. Okay, good,
The,
good.
the,
Go ahead.
the only thing is that we cannot make a specific content for every distributor, and sometimes we are requested to make. We need a specific content for us. Okay, no, we can't. We can't.
Right.
When AI will be there, we can do that.
That's right.
Yeah. So we can give you our marketing resources and this, and then you can customize for but not possible.
So when we talk about strategic marketing, one of my beliefs is that the marketing department needs to take ownership over the customer life cycle, which is prospecting for new customers, addressing and reducing attrition, stop customers from leaking out of the bottom of the bucket, and then growing existing customers. And if that's your goal, then you can see where things like promotional campaigns fit into it, or where web sales fit into it. But those are just the tactics. The goal, the strategy is to manage the customer life cycle. Do you agree with that? And do you don't have to name them if you don't want to, but do you see distributors that do a good job with that?
I have seen some independent distributors doing a good job in that direction without knowing that is marketing. Because
right.
They have by nature, they have a good customer-centric approach for this kind, not only acquiring new customers, also cultivating or nurturing these customers to increase the value of the lifetime. But they do it without knowing that they're doing marketing. You know what I mean?
Interesting. Yeah.
It's like, especially Southern Europe knows, it's like a personal relationship with customers where they cultivate that in informal way without using the marketing platforms or technology. But apart from that, it's not, I think distributors don't have this kind of marketing platforms yet, or I'm not aware of myself.
Yeah, I agree. It's not so analytical yet. It's more a kind of probably good capability, good habit, rather than knowing that I'm doing customer lifecycle management. Like I retain the customer, I measure the number of customers that I lose. How do I retain and so on? So it's a matter more of initiatives which can be done by the distributor or something that can be done together with us. For example, we have had in the goal of obtaining new customers from our side in cooperation with the distributors. We have had some recent interesting experiences with some distributors in organizing webinars, for example. So we define a specific subject, specific matter. We do the webinar together, and then we nurture those leads together. We share them to the distributor so that they can work it out, and we do a further follow up of those leads that we get. So this is something that we've seen.
Yeah, but I think, Ian, to your question, that also we, as my friend, we have to improve the data-driven marketing plans.
Right.
Mostly, still in the year 2024, we do marketing based on opinions, or not facts or figures.
Right.
We're changing, or the whole industry, the sector is changing, or the industry is changing. But we have to do better.
Yeah, I think that defining the proper KPIs at the beginning and being scientific and measuring them along the let's say span of the initiative is something that is fundamental and important. One thing that I can share, Ian, is our experience in terms of challenges that we faced in measuring the results of the campaign. Due to the complexity of the campaign, which could be multi-source, multi-touch point, having something that can easily measure all this data along the campaign, it's something challenging. So we do it either internally or with the external support of agencies. But I think that this is something that inside our B2B world, we still need to have. Also, as a manufacturer, we have, let's say, areas of improvement, I would say.
Or even look at the distributors are not monitoring the performance of this KPI. So exactly. It's not a question they don't have the data, it's that they don't have the culture of data.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, or maybe they're not.
they're simplifying the campaign performance only based on sales and not the rest of marketing KPIs and that. And that's sometimes for marketeers is frustrating because they don't have a marketing data culture. So
Yeah,
if there's no marketing data, we cannot improve. And I always I don't like when we simplify the marketing performance of a campaign, but only based on sales.
Yeah.
You know, sales is a consequence at the end of the funnel. There are marketing KPIs that we need to monitor together, you and me, to improve. And that's the situation now in the year 2024, at least in Europe. That's what I've seen.
I agree. Or also another element is the capability of the distributor to select the proper external digital agency, because obviously we endorse the fact that distributors should have internal digital marketing capabilities, but also using external sources. But when you use external resources, you should try to avoid selecting an agency which is, just providing you, let's say, media spend or asset generation. I think the strategy here is to find agencies that can really bring and add value. So adding on top of the traditional things, services such as strategical insights, or new ways of reading data, and giving maybe suggestions to making specific campaigns, like, I don't know, geo-targeting or blending on and offline opportunities, for example.
Yeah. So we're gonna do two more questions before we go. So one person's asking about the topics when we were talking about measuring ROI and understanding the real purpose of a website isn't just to drive shopping cart sales like it is in B2C. He's saying, how important is education for distributors on these topics to solving the problems? So just, this white paper that we put together with your support addresses all those issues. And we have been doing research, to your point, Ignacio, and we understand that distributors don't get it. They don't understand that the marketing needs to be strategic. It needs to address the customer life cycle. The website's the website's shopping cart sales for many distributors really is not a major part of its role or importance. And we can tell you how to go after these things and how to measure them and how to quantify them and how to use data that can help you set your marketing budget and understand your return. But how do we get the word out there? I mean, I assume you'll be promoting this paper to your distributors and we need to get it out to others. But I feel like I've been saying the same thing, at every different keynote that I do. And it's just not a big enough audience. We have to get this culture of measurement, to your point, and this understanding of the real role of e-commerce and the true strategic potential of marketing into the heads of distributors so that they can really optimize their performance. Any ideas on how we get that message out there in a bigger way? I mean, you both supported this research, so you're doing your part already. But what else can we do?
Talk, explain over and over again. This is my experience. Starting from the basics, ABC, and continue doing that. I mean, I'm surprising I received today an email from someone asking me something, saying, "Hey, I saw this on the product page of one of our countries, and can you tell me more?" I said, "Okay, but I told you this at least 20 times already." And this is an ABB colleague. And so imagine with the distributors, we need to do this even more, okay? And so I think that participating and having the opportunity to work together with DSG and you, Ian, on this white paper is exactly going this direction. And one of the things that I've learned working on this paper is that if you read the single elements one by one, they say, "Come on, it's obvious. Why should I read this paper?"
Right.
But if you stop a second and you put all the points together and draw the lines among all the possible touch points, then I can swear that we have less than one hand all over the world distributors capable of doing all those things that are written in that paper.
Yeah,
I can bet.
Yeah. And one thing we can do as manufacturers is whenever we have interaction with distributors, is put marketing in the agenda of our conversations with distributors, not from the very early beginning, where the objectives are defined when we have the first conversation, marketeers, we should go with the sales team to meet the distributors and put marketing in the agenda. Sometimes we have to prove that marketing pays off, that doing marketing the right way, in a competitive way, pays off, and be patient, educate, but also be humble and listen to the distributors. It's not only about us telling them what to do, it's firstly listen to them, their needs, and how we can help them for marketing. And so if we are pragmatic and we listen to them carefully, then we can come with marketing solutions to them, and they will be happy to apply together. It's just a question of time. The arrival of online pure players is transforming this,
Right.
and the disintermediation. So it's just a question of new generations of management at distributors, and it's just there.
Okay, so we're almost out of time. So you have 1 minute each. So I ask you to hold it to 1 minute. Michelle, we're going to give Michelle from Mexico the last question. And she's asking, how do we, I'm going to rephrase it a little bit. If you had just 2 or 3 tips to give a distributor on how to create digital success in their company, 2 or 3 things that they can leave this call from and go start working on, what would you tell them?
Wow. My first recommendation will be start by the basics. So fixing the right basics. If you want to succeed in online, you need the good structure, good capabilities in terms of resources, team, but also put digital in the management team agenda. It should be a priority for the management team. And then when you have your clear ideas or your objectives, then you have to team up, collaborate with your suppliers, with your manufacturers, and disclose where your objectives and how manufacturers can help you. So structure, resources, priority for the management team. Otherwise, it will never be a success. And then rely on work together with your partner.
Great. Luca, you got 1 minute.
Yeah, okay, 1 minute. I would say, as I said also before, plan. So make sure that digital sales is a transformation. So it's a journey. It's not that we start now and then we close in, let's say, 1 month. No, it's a journey. It's a continuous learn, try, mistake, error, and so on. So it's like a startup approach. So MVP, I do something, I improve, and then I do a mistake and I go back. And having the manufacturers along this journey to go with them and making sure that they a dedicated budget, but not budget in terms of necessary economical resources, but really making sure that this is well understood and perceived as strategical for the overall organization of your company. So it's a start, and then the end will be not, you don't see that.
Right. Fantastic. Great answers. Okay. So I could get everybody to hold on for just 1 more minute. We do have a couple of upcoming programs. On January 24th, we have the State of AI in Distribution. This is a research-based activity. And you'll hear Jonathan Bine, who's got a PhD in computer science in AI and is my business partner, give you an update on what the state of AI in distribution is. That's sponsored by our friends at Epicor and Hawk Search by Bridgeline. On January 31st, we will have a distribution leader panel. We have one person so far, Scott Sinning, who spent a long time at Graybar. And we will be talking about pricing precision, maximizing profit margins. That's brought to you by pros.ai and also Mighty Rep. So thanks to those organizations. Luca, Ignacio, fantastic discussion. I'm sorry to the attendees that we didn't get to all of your questions, but it was really a rich discussion, and I appreciate so much you making time to join us today.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you so much, Ian.
And thanks,
All right.
Ignacio, for the.
Thank you, Luca.
All right, everyone. Thanks for
Bye-bye.
joining us on the Wholesale Change Show, and we'll talk to you next time.